I mean, there's times where I've wanted to fucking quit and, you know, almost fucking gone bankrupt. In 2019, I walked off a plane with nothing but an idea and a suitcase.
Ready for one of the most beautiful views in the world.
And I nearly lost everything, building a luggage brand from scratch. This is the untold story of how I went from hitting rock bottom to signing deals with the New York Yankees and the Dallas Cowboys. If you've ever dreamed of starting something from zero, then this one's for you. In 2019, I made the decision to leave New York and head back to Australia.
Happy birthday to my boy Aidan!
On that 19-hour flight home, I found myself fixated on the luggage passing by on the carousel. It was the same designs over and over. That sparked my curiosity. Once I landed in Australia, I hugged my mum briefly and then immediately hopped on a flight to Asia filled with energy, excitement, and no idea what I was really getting myself into. That's where the real grind began. The exhausting, intense process of finding manufacturers who could really bring my luggage designs to life. Definitely this torch going up here, right? That's power. Look at that beautiful luggage. Look at that beautiful luggage. Alright, this is Aidan's maiden voyage up a hiking trail in Colorado. I remember just showing up to the factory doors and I didn't have a translator with me, and I'm deep in the outskirts of China. I'm talking, you know, the hillside, countryside, jungle side. It was crazy just to see how I was perceived when I got there. I literally banged on a factory door, and yeah, the guy didn't understand what I was saying. I didn't understand what he was saying, and it was such a raw moment for me because I remember being like, well, I'm fucked. To find factories, I basically Googled other brands' luggage factories and walked into them without any prior notice. I had to rely on my charisma and ability to connect with people, and honestly, that was crucial, and I think it's a big reason I've gotten this far. That was the first factory I went through, and after that, this lady, she was beautiful. She basically gave me a roadmap of where a lot of the luggage brands were being made, what factories were making luggage, and I remember her saying to me, she basically said, "Are you crazy?" And I basically said yes. I took matters into my own hands and taught myself how to design and make luggage through countless hours on YouTube and online courses. I visited 33 different factories before finally finding one that met the standards I was looking for. I worked tirelessly with manufacturers, sampling designs, and refining prototypes. I filed worldwide patents and trademarks to protect the designs, a process I navigated by consulting with patent attorneys and doing a lot of legwork myself to understand the requirements and paperwork involved. The process took 24 months and it nearly broke me.
So that's the case and that's the double handle?
Yeah.
So in here, this bit here, that's the groove where the handle, once it folds down, sits into, right?
Yes.
So
I lived out of luggage in small cities, constantly moving between factories and spending over $300,000 on samples and prototypes. These were some of the toughest moments. The major obstacles were managing inconsistent quality, long lead times, and unexpected costs. I learned that patience and persistence are key, and if I had to do it again, I'd start building relationships earlier and invest more time in upfront market research. So my advice to anyone in this position is to really trust the process, but be ready to adapt constantly. I think it comes back down to being young and living on a pearl farm. you literally are growing pearls. So you see something such as a pearl form over 2 years, and a pearl, and a pearl shell for that matter, it's a living organism, it's a living oyster. So you watch a pearl grow, you nurture it, and you really look after it over 2 years to produce a pearl. So for me, I think that really shaped my understanding of luggage, because it was, everything's a process and everything takes time. And I think I really enjoyed that part of seeing something from paper come to a physical product.
1, 2, 3. Woo! Wow.
At that point, I decided to call the brand Aidan, after myself. Originally, I wanted to call it Essential, but after grinding for 2 years, I realized Aidan represented who I am. Someone who's traveled the world from a young age and wanted to build something that reflected the identity. Once I had the first sample in hand, I returned to Australia and started working on the brand itself. I collaborated with freelancers, which gave me flexibility, helped manage costs, and brought a range of creative perspectives. Together, we developed the brand identity, logo, colorways, storyline, and visual guide. In 2021, we kicked off a friends and family launch. This wasn't a big national launch, it was about sharing the carry-on luggage with close contacts to get real, honest feedback and begin direct-to-consumer sales on a smaller scale. It really helped us refine the product, build early advocates, and better understand our market before going big. On January 4, 2022, I received the first container of 500 pieces of luggage in Perth, Western Australia. I was so excited, standing there with my mum and stepdad. I even cut the container door open with a grinder. And suddenly, 500 suitcases tumbled out on top of me. At that moment, I learned a hard lesson. Always put your boxes on pallets. Early in 2022, a good friend who had been watching all my hard work approached me with an offer to invest. Up until then, I'd been funding everything myself, draining my savings from years in yachtbroking and hospitality. His belief in the brand gave me new energy and hope. While I remained the sole director, designer, and driving force behind the brand, he helped when he could creatively, taking charge of photo shoots, brand image, voice, and storytelling. This partnership was pivotal in helping us grow the brand's identity while I focused on operations and growth. But just a month after receiving that first container, COVID ran rampant across Australia and the entire travel industry shut down.
But now a new sub-variant has been picked up in 55 countries, including Australia.
I literally had a container full of luggage stuck in a warehouse I couldn't access. Instead of folding under pressure, I kept manufacturing whenever the countries where my factories were located eased restrictions. I reinvested more capital into expanding the product line, developing medium and large check-in cases, and a series of soft goods. I continued showcasing the carry-on luggage to friends and family, gathering real feedback.
Oh mate, that's so beautiful, man. Fuck hell.
At the end of 2022, we secured our first Series A funding round through an introduction from a close friend. An Australian investor saw the product, the growing market, and wanted to support us. This funding was critical to product development, hiring staff, and planning for expansion into the USA. Up to that point, I never gave myself a salary. I worked long hours and relied on other income streams to fund my life while pouring every penny back into the business. Even after the Series A funding, I've never received a salary. This was driven by a deep desire to succeed. When you want something badly enough, you create ways to fund it.
Are you more comfortable sitting?
I think so. Probably. At the end of the day, man, you got to thank yourself as well. I mean, there's times where I've wanted to fucking quit and, you know, almost fucking gone bankrupt. In 2023, we officially launched nationally across Australia. We focused on building our direct-to-consumer market. We sold out multiple times and partnered with major retailers like The Iconic, which was a huge stepping stone for us, as well as top airlines like Qantas and even celebrities like Scarlett Johansson. My friend's early investment and the Series A funding gave us the runway to grow. By July 2023, we began our expansion into the USA. We opened a warehouse in California, and I remember walking in, seeing our luggage stacked alongside global brands. I thought, we've made it. We also opened a facility in Texas to serve the Middle and East Coast. But soon, we were hit hard by duties, taxes, custom fees, storage, and fulfillment costs. Sales were slow. The US market was 10 times the size of Australia, but it was also 10 times more expensive and competitive. We burned through hundreds of thousands of dollars within 6 months, and suddenly, we couldn't pay our bills. With products sitting unsold in warehouses, and after 9 months, we had to take a huge loss and sell to a discounted retailer. We returned to Australia to reassess and refocus, and really going back to our core suitcase product, rather than accessories and reining in expenses. I had to pour more of my own capital into the brand, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and now at this point, I'm over $1 million of my own capital into the brand. Good boy. You know, I think we're all going to fall into a trap in some part of our career, and I've fallen that many times where I've opened a door, I've gone in there to test it out, haven't enjoyed it, and I've just basically quit or given up on that. But I feel like there's times where maybe I would have enjoyed it if I just stuck through with it and continued understanding what it was about. You know, with college and university and dropping out with a year to go. So I thought, you know, with something I want to do moving forward, I can't do that again.
I feel myself getting lightheaded. Tell you what, it's hard work. See that rock face? It's there? Yeah. We're almost there, bro. Let's get the sunrise, eh? Yeah. One of the most beautiful views in the world. I feel like I'm Lion King.
In February 2024, I decided to go back to the USA and really give it another shot. We had new product, new advancements, and really locked in on our engineering. And within a month of landing, I signed deals with the New York Yankees and the Dallas Cowboys to become their official luggage partner and create co-branded pieces. I still pinch myself. How did that happen? After nearly losing everything, we're now the official luggage partner of two of the world's largest sporting teams.
Australian breaks into the Ford Centre.
Over the course of 2024, I locked into New York, focusing on product and suitcase advancements, all while maintaining a very clean, healthy lifestyle, with fitness being a driving factor in keeping my composure and confidence with the brand. By April, we sold out completely. This should have been a good thing. I was out of stock, but with manufacturing delays due to new engineering changes, I couldn't fulfill customer, fan, athlete, or organization orders for 6 months. And once again, we nearly lost a brand. I really found myself facing the reality that more money had to go back into the brand, and the only lifeline to keep both myself and the business afloat came through yacht brokerage and hospitality ventures. But then November arrived, and the luggage shipment finally landed. November and December both blew up, becoming some of our greatest sales months to date, driven by new luggage, new designs, and new advancements. I hadn't predicted the shipping delays, which made the wait even harder, but the payoff was huge. We went live with our first co-branded pieces with the Yankees and Cowboys to close out the year, delivering luggage to players and organizations so they could use and showcase the brand. We also signed a deal with Fanatics, expanding our retail presence amongst the sport merchandise leaders. And most importantly, we had enough stock to power through the peak sales period, with our next batch of luggage scheduled to arrive in early 2025. However, the things I learned along the way were invaluable. Inventory management is pivotal. Logistics and supply chain can make or break you. Knowing the market before going all in is extremely essential. Research and development require patience and precision. Budgeting and forecasting are non-negotiable, and in 2024, when I was in the USA, I had no team. I was depleted, and I really had to step it up as founder and CEO. I had to do right by my employees and investors and pull us out of this hole. This journey overall has tested me in every way, but it's also defined who I am as a leader and entrepreneur. This has really forged my identity as a founder and reaffirmed that resilience is the core of entrepreneurship. But this is just the beginning.
I think everything just clicked for me. Is you wanted to prove to yourself that you could stick with something for the first time.
For sure. And I think anyone who knows me deep down knows that if I stuck to things, I could have been quite good at things. I always did things to scrape through with school, and football. I could have gone a long way with that as well. And I just think I just look back at that, and I never did things to really challenge myself. And I think now this business has challenged me in more ways than I've ever had in my life, and it's been probably the most surreal but best learning curve I could ever have, because if I didn't have this, I think I'd just be coasting through life. Where now I'm really hustling to make this succeed, but it's not just for myself, it's for everyone else who's believed in me, who I've let down. It's for people out there who may be going through the same thing, or who are dreamers and believers or entrepreneurs. I think that's where I'm going with this. It's more just prove to yourself, but prove to everyone else around you that you're living proof that you can grow up on a pearl farm and now live in New York City, tackling an industry that's been around for centuries. So yeah, it's daunting, man, but if I get to do this every day when I retire, I feel like I'm happy. I'm very happy.
All right. Shut there.
In the next episode, I'll reveal how I secured groundbreaking partnerships with the New York Yankees and the Dallas Cowboys, and laid the foundation for explosive growth in 2025, including opening our New York office and launching a dedicated design studio in Tribeca. The future is bigger than I ever imagined, and I can't wait to share it with you.